Hello, and welcome to Critics and Cars Getting Home. This is our first ride in the new car, if we remember correctly.
I think that's right, yeah.
And we are not yet equipped with the stand, which is why we have the sideways handheld action tonight for our first installment of 2023.
After a long absence.
Elizabeth Banks directs something a bit unlike her Pitch Perfect movies, Cocaine Bear. Do you want to explain what Cocaine Bear is?
Yeah, so, I mean, listen up, readers, listeners, watchers, because it's a really complicated plot. Basically, there's a bear, and the bear does cocaine, and all hell breaks loose, basically. Now, apparently, allegedly, based on a true story, and I tell you what, Doug, I'm going to have to look this up. I've really taken to trying to Wikipedia the real-life scenarios that form the basis of these movies.
Well, I'm pretty sure that both cocaine and bears exist.
Yes.
And we do get a actual vintage clip of Tom Brokaw, who's an actual guy.
Yes, but that was... So basically, it's not a spoiler, but basically the way the cocaine gets to the bear in the movie, at least, and this is the part that was based on reality, is in 1985, a plane crashed, and before it crashed, a whole stack of bundles of cocaine fell out of the aeroplane and landed in various places around the motu, as they don't say in America. And... I didn't know, though, it didn't say in the news item where the bears got into it. So do you think that's the fabrication, or do you think that that's the truth?
I think that's probably one of very many fabrications. We didn't actually sit next to each other, so we have no idea how each other feels about this. Not even we haven't discussed it, but we've sensed each other tightening up or
I didn't
not
even manage to look
whatever.
over. Well, I did look over and see you with a straight face at one point, but that isn't really indicative. You might have been chuckling on the inside. Who's to know?
Okay, well, what I'm guessing you looked over because you weren't enjoying it?
I mean, it was fine. It's not as laugh out loud. Well, the cinema that we were in was packed to the gunnels with people who were clearly entering into the spirit of it and did laugh out loud a lot. And I didn't. I think I did 2 laughs out loud, and I'm always embarrassed because I always laugh when other people aren't finding something funny. So it's probably esoteric.
I've been doing that
highbrow.
since way back.
Yeah, but I wasn't lolling the whole way through at all. But did you find it funny?
Intermittently. I found it intermittently funny, intermittently surprising. I wasn't expecting it to go as hard as it did. I had seen the trailer, and so I thought it was going to be a bit more farcical and less bloody.
Yeah.
And there's a couple great set pieces. It very much feels like, I don't want to say it does what it says on the tin,
No,
but in an exploitation world.
That's exactly what I already said.
I mean, obviously it does in a woman talking title sort of way.
Yeah, it does what it says on the tin.
But I think it sort of does it at the upper end of what you would hope for.
Yeah.
But nothing beyond what you would hope for.
Well, here's the thing, right? I mean, as a conceit, I think we can all agree that it's pretty straightforward, right? Cocaine materializes in forest creature snorts, or in this case ingests cocaine, and then, I mean, it's not really a spoiler to say that their senses are heightened by the experience.
Yes.
So what are you going to do with that? You're going to throw some human beings into the mix, and then you're going to watch as they may or may not get sort of munched by this black bear. So what are you going to do, right? And so that's what the film did.
So what did you think about the acting, though? Because you've got a really interesting cast. You've got Kerry Russell, you've got O'Shea Jackson Jr., Alden Ehrenreich, Ray Liotta, bless in his last performance.
Yeah.
Christopher Rougeau from Force Majeure, of all people.
Yeah. The way I would characterize it is this: Kerry Russell, who some of you may remember from the film Waitress back in the day, and I know she was around a lot in the 90s.
Well, she was Felicity.
In what?
TV show.
Right, which I didn't see, obviously. She's like straight-faced, kind of not a comedic personality. Maybe that's fine. She's searching for her children throughout the whole thing, and so her thread to me was very banal, and I couldn't have cared less. All the farcical characters were the people who were overacting in the other thread.
Margot Martindale.
Right, fabulous. From Compliance, fabulous. So everyone in that...
You're thinking Ann Dowd.
Was that Ann Dowd in Compliance?
Yeah.
I get those two mixed up.
Yeah.
Forget it. Margot Martindale. Whatever. Point being, in the other thread, which involved drug dealers trying to find the coke, because why wouldn't you? Everyone there was playing over the top, and it was enjoyable but farcical, right? Apart from Alden
Ehrenreich,
whose name I have a lot of trouble with.
Yeah, I have a lot of trouble recognizing it as well. I went the whole movie and it's like, oh, it's the guy from Hail Caesar. It's
And
Solo.
and Han Solo. Yeah, that's right.
He's one of those guys I never recognize, but always turns into superlative.
Oh, did you think he was great?
I mean, he wasn't. He gave surplus to requirements. I mean,
right.
I don't think it's going to be, remembered at the end of the year.
No.
But I thought in a film where so many of the performances were at a certain level of either heightened farce or just simple giving the lines and hitting your marks, there was something a bit more emotional there from him and a bit more grounded than maybe the
Whereas I
part
found
could have
him
been
maybe
played
a bit banal, but that was because, as I say, he was playing against a whole lot of people, including Ray Liotta. Now look, Ray Liotta, who did not look good, I have to say, but as you say, Doug, was in this is the last time we would get to see him.
And he died during the shoot, which there's one scene that's handled very obliquely. That's just him getting out of a car.
Right.
But it's clear they hadn't shot that scene, and so they just staged it in a very kind of iconic car pulls up, boot comes out kind of way, probably because of that. And maybe there were other scenes.
And maybe it's kind of clever that he's playing kind of a it's not a spoiler, a hyper drug dealer dude, and you remember back to the classic roles from Goodfellas when cocaine was a big deal, and so there's some nice sort of tie-in there, I guess. There's the good old Isaiah, what's his name from
Whitlock Jr.
From
The Wire.
From The Wire, playing a copper, but I didn't think that the script was fantastic. I thought there were moments of humor. I thought there was a lot of kind of adequate, it's just dialogue kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But as far as the goriness goes, I think so. One thing, I think there's a fabulous CGI bear. That's not a spoiler either. But the horror elements of it actually were very reminiscent of early Peter Jackson. Bad taste and kind of.
There's a glee to the splatter.
There really is, and you're right. Splatter is the word for it. It's not a proper horror, although there are a couple of moments.
Yeah, there's some jump scares, but it's mostly like taking delight in throwing viscera around, which is interesting because there's a couple scenes early on that are handled a bit obliquely, and then then the limbs start flying, and
and everyone then enters into the spirit of it. I guess they know this is the kind of film that we're watching, so run with it.
And I don't think we have to belabor it. I mean, I think it is. If it's what you're signing up for, it's a good night out.
Sure.
It seems like there's a whole wave of films right now that are kind of, we're home with COVID. Let's just approve something that can be shot in like COVID-safe conditions, won't cost very much, and if we're lucky, might go viral. And so you get Megan, you get Missing, and you get Cocaine Bear, which are all kind of nuts in their own way.
But I don't think that this was anywhere near as clever as Megan, and certainly not as clever as Missing. So this, for me, lacked a cleverness, but it was certainly fun, and it was schlocky, and you have to be in the right mood for it. So what are we talking stars-wise?
Probably 3.
Wow, a Doug 3, ladies and germs, is pretty much a Sarah 3.5. I'm going 2.5 on it.
Oh, I think that's okay. I mean, low.
Maybe I'll go 3. Maybe by the time we get home,
I'll talk you into it.
That's right. So I mean, maybe 3. But
is there a version of Cocaine Bear you would have liked much better?
Of course, it could have been cleverly written and not had Kerry Russell in it. Ooh. But seriously, yeah.
Well, on that note, you might have noticed that this is actually a special installment of Critics and Cars going to Countdown. So see you next time.